Welcome to the Anime Podcast, Episode 2, and I'll see you after the intro. Alright, Cast here, and this is the Anime Podcast. With me is
Adam.
And this is Episode 2, and there's been a long break in between Episode 1 and Episode 2, but we're hoping to get back to doing the regular podcast. So we are actually doing Episode 2, which is going to be Cowboy Bebop. Adam, how would you describe the plot of Cowboy Bebop?
Oh, Cowboy Bebop, how would I describe it? It would be, so it's a sci-fi, I almost want to say like a sci-fi western, but it's not always a western. I would just say it's much more of like a sci-fi adventure of a team of bounty hunters that go around, kind of jump from planet to planet, and almost each episode is its own self-contained little adventure of hunting a bounty. There's a couple of chained episodes where you get 2 in a row, but on the whole, you can pretty much jump in at any point and get a self-contained story for the most part.
Yeah,
but if you watch all
okay. I would say Cowboy Bebop. I'll just kind of go a little bit more in depth. 26 episodes called The Perfect Session because each one mimics a type of music. And then I would say that the genre for it, to me anyway, is kind of like sci-fi film noir. Like, it has that kind of feel to it with how you get Spike Spiegel's kind of like headspace a little bit of how he does stuff and how he talks about things.
Yeah, definitely on certain episodes are definitely much more heavily noir, like the Waltz episodes, like the ones where he deals mostly with his past. Like, dang it, what's his name?
Oh, crap. What is his name?
Vicious.
Vicious.
Like when he's dealing with Vicious.
There you go.
Like a lot of the episodes with Vicious are a lot more noir than like the other ones, than some of the other ones. But yeah, there's definitely, like, I think you're right. Like, there's definitely a noir overall feel to the show as a whole. Yeah. That's a good interpretation.
It had the 26 episodes, like we said, the one movie, which was Knocking on Heaven's Door. And it ran from September 1997 to June 1998. It's not like it's recent. We're not covering anything recent, but however, this holds a kind of special place in my heart, probably in yours as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's just go the main characters real quick. Faye Valentine, Edward Wong, Ein, Jet Black, Spike Spiegel.
Most people say Spike is the main character.
Yeah, he's kind of like the ringleader of the group.
Right. Then there's certain other characters who kind of recur, like Vicious, Julia,
yeah. But most of it, like you said, is self-contained. Really, by just you could choose any one of the episodes and still just enjoy it for what it was.
Right. As you said, like, I mean, we're talking. This is an anime from the '90s, and it still holds up. It's a magnificent piece of animation and just overall storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job with just music composition, the story,
right,
how everything kind of wraps up in each episode, yet there is that feel of an overarching scenario, which I think probably makes it one of the greater ones, because you don't have to watch them all in a row. You can go back to your favorite ones. There are a couple of two-parters. I think there's two two-parters in there, the end and then the middle. It feels very much like like the modern TV show. I mean, you have your mid-season, you have your finale.
Right.
Yet, at the same time, you can go anywhere in between and watch and still just enjoy the heck out of it.
Right. It's hard to find anybody I know that watches anime that when you ask them, like, what's an anime everybody should watch? Usually within the top 3 for everyone is Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say definitely in top 5 for just about everybody. This is one that almost everyone will mention. Like I said, even though it's anime from the 90s, it will hold its own against anything that's it's produced since then all the way up till now. Like, whether you're talking about the animation part of it, storytelling, the music, it's a masterpiece. Like, it really is. And I don't use that term lightly. It's a great piece of animation and just storytelling in general.
Yeah, I mean, it really was groundbreaking for its time. So we'll go kind of into the next part of this, which is on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Cowboy Bebop?
It's easy to just say just say 10. And I would say it's definitely, I'd probably would give it an, I'm gonna say 9, just in case there's something that like transcends to another level for me. But like a 9.5.
All right, 9.5. I was going to say it's a 9. It is really good, and I feel like it should be a 10, but I'm going to stick with a 9 because I think I said 8.5 for One Punch Man. I want to say I just find it a bit better than One Punch Man. I enjoy both of them, but I would say that Cowboy Bebop's on a higher level, so 9.
It's yeah. I mean, I definitely put this one higher than One Punch Man, but to say One Punch Man gets all the way up to an 8.5, I mean, it's a different type of story.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's apples and oranges in comparison. It's both of them are good, but the storyline of One Punch Man is completely different and enjoyed for a completely different reason than Cowboy Bebop.
That one One Punch is more like your humorous satire of a superhero versus, this is just straight normal drama. Not that it doesn't have, there's definitely moments of humor, drama, everything's in this one. It's just...
There's also a complexity to it that One Punch Man doesn't have. The emotions is so much stronger for each of the characters in Cowboy Bebop. They're all so conflicted versus One Punch Man where, yeah, there is these conflicts, but everybody is so much lighter.
Right. I agree. Yeah. It's much more. And I think, especially for people who aren't really into anime or just kind of animation stories, this is going to be a much better entry than for some people because it's more grounded.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For some people, there's some other people who want it might be easier to have just a funnier thing because they already have animation as a funnier thing in their head. So, I've definitely turned people onto anime with One Punch Man. Don't get me wrong, because it's just funny. But I think for people who are like, no, you can't tell a serious, good story with animation, you can show them what Bebop, and it's very well done. So.
Exactly. All right, so now we'll kind of go to this one, which is, now I know the answer to this, but how did you is this your first time watching Cowboy Bebop? If not, when was the first time you watched it?
Watched it with you.
Yeah, I know. I know this. I was like, not every one of these is going to be easily answerable. But yes, our first time was watching it together. So.
I think I watched, that was one of our earlier ones. I think it was Ranma and then this. And this was the first entry to more serious kind of stuff. And I think that was right before I had moved. Yeah. Probably. Really close to.
Mm-hmm. You moved probably just after.
Right. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially both of ours are the exact same. However, I wound up rewatching it. I think you said sometime during college again the next time you wound up watching it.
Probably when I was 19 or 20.
Yeah, and around the same time for me, it had shown back up on Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network. Yeah, Adult Swim.
Adult Swim, yeah. Because back then, I mean, everybody's now just I can find 10,000 different locations. But back then, it was really difficult. I mean, I had to. I saw it on Adult Swim. I was like, okay, I gotta order it. And there were some really shady, get it from Japan DVD
anime bootleg shops.
Yeah, anime bootleg shops, which is what I have. I think I'm finally buying a real copy of it. But that was how I got the first Cowboy Bebop. Turn on the TV and you always see the same episode, which is enjoyable. But it would always be Heavy Metal Mama.
Oh, that's the one you kept catching?
Yeah, it was the one I always kept seeing. And I'm like, I love this episode. Yeah, it's great, but I want to see other ones. And so I had to go online and order it.
I think the one I kept catching on TV was Mushroom Samba.
Oh, that's a good one, too. You can't go wrong with that either. There's really two, ours kind of intertwined. So let's just jump with the other one, which is, do you have a favorite episode, scene, or character for Cowboy Bebop?
I mean, for favorite character, I mean, it's hard not to have it be Spike. I mean, Spike is, he's your front man to most of it. He's the cool martial artist, kicking ass guy, I mean, that's, when I was a young man, I wanted to be that cool martial artist. My hero is Bruce Lee. It's so.
And Spike just screams Bruce Lee, that feeling of Bruce Lee.
Yeah, he definitely has some Jeet Kune Do movements at different times. But I think probably my favorite episode, though, I liked Pierrot Le Fou, or I guess it's also known as the Clown's Requiem. Because it's that insane Mad Pierrot, the assassin, comes after Spike, and it's one of the first times you see Spike really get his ass handed to him by this big floating ball of a man just like kicks the shit out of him, and it's like, whoa, what happened here? And then you like Spike has to like desperately figure out a way to beat him, and it's just like the imagery is a little weirder on that episode, and there's like lots of stuff going on. I enjoyed that one. Just the whole his fight sequence with Mad Bureau, like he's hiding behind a dumpster and he throws the trash off one side and then he pops out the other side, starts shooting at him, and visual choreography of that is pretty nice. And then the whole running through the amusement park and crazy stuff's just flying around them and hitting them, and visually interesting episode.
Yeah, the episode I thought was probably one of the better ones was the one where essentially the kid has been kidnapped by this guy, and it turns out that the guy has essentially been kidnapped by the kid because the kid is immortal. And
Yes.
I mean, it was just an amazingly well done episode, because through the whole thing of it, you're just thinking like, oh, you know, he was trying to save this kid because they run into this guy and he's, you know, he essentially is dying. And he's like, save him. And they think that it's the kid. And it's not. He was trying to save his friend who, you know, this kid is essentially using as a puppet. And the whole episode just turns out to be very well done and amazing. And
I believe that's episode 6, Sympathy for the Devil.
Okay. Episode 6.
And it's yeah, it was like the crystal or something that's keeping him alive or something like that.
Yeah, and they wind up constructing the crystal into a bullet.
Yeah.
Spike has kind of one of those moments where he's like, I don't want to kill a kid. I don't want to have to kill you. You look like a kid, and it just, but doesn't hesitate taking that shot when it doesn't, work out. And it's probably one of those moments where you kind of see where Spike sits. It's just, yeah, I mean, I'll do what needs to be done. And it's probably one of the greatest, showing just kind of Spike's mental, I want to say mental complexity, where he doesn't want to kill a kid, but at the same time, he'll get it done.
I mean, I mean, especially as you go through the show and you find out that what his past is, like he was essentially a mob hitman, or front man for the mob, and essentially he tries to change his ways and be a good guy. But he's still kind of in that moral gray area, and so he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And he's trying to be better, but he's still, when it comes down to brass tacks, like, I'm going to do what I have to do.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I need to do to take care of the situation.
Right. And he's like, in the show, obviously, especially when he's dealing with Vicious, like, where the killer comes back, like the guy who used to run around with Vicious comes back, and you see when he has to go into full, I'm going to get it done now.
Yeah, so in full fight mode, I guess, probably. Yeah. The best way of saying it. And, I mean, in all of that, all of the Vicious stuff is just, not only is it kind of fun and well thought out, I don't know if it would be maybe construed as fun, but well thought out, but visually and musically, it's spectacular. It, like, syncs, the music and the visuals sync up so perfectly to essentially the carnage that is occurring.
Right.
It's one of those things that sometimes you just go back and kind of watch. I mean, I would say all of Vicious and Spike's fights are that way. They're so well choreographed with the music that it just kind of gives you chills, I think.
It's just storytelling wise, it's just really well done. You're talking about, I mean, these are like, they're like mirrors of each other, right? They used to be almost like brothers. And there's, Spike could have just as easily been right next to Vicious, doing all the same things.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for, Julia or some of the events that happened that turned him away and made him become who he was instead. So it's like, as you said, like some of the other parts too, it adds to the complexity of why is he this bounty hunter who's really good at taking stuff down, but at the same note, they're the poorest, most capable bounty hunters that you see ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, between Faye and her trying to get hers, Jet trying to keep the Bebop afloat,
right.
And between Ein and Ed and all these, like, all of the little hiccups, like, at the same time, they're kind of just floating through space on the Bebop, trying to just keep enough money to eat and keep flying, which kind of is, I think, a little bit reminiscent of what would be later on, which is though not an anime, which is Firefly. Kind of has
Right.
that same feel and vibe. Like maybe
There's
he watched
definitely
it sometime before he wrote it.
100% influenced Firefly. I would bet money that the story, there's an influence there. Like, I mean, yeah, like as you just said, like the keep flying, like that's, be free. Like that's while it's not like it's not as direct on like be free as Firefly. Like that's I'd say the much bigger thing about Firefly is it's about being free.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's like, yeah, you doing what you want, but at the same time, I'd say it's almost like this one's more of like keep running.
Yeah.
Like,
keep ahead of your problems in some aspects.
Right. That's more of the message in this one. And like eventually it catches up to you and you have to deal with it. But like while you can run, like keep running, keep ahead of it, keep going.
Yeah, which actually leads into our next one, which was, I was just saying, what was perhaps the message or idea that you took away from Cowboy Bebop? And it really is just that, like, they keep running from their problems until they can't run anymore.
And then it catches up
and then it catches up to them. When they face it, and I feel like there's that weight lifted off. And Spikes is really never something that resolves until the very end.
Right.
Faye's running into like all of her past, remembering her past, like facing those people that, she thought was long gone. And then Ed running into her past, Jet running into his, which is probably another really great moment where he goes back to Ganymede. And kind of faces being a police officer and the wife that he left there and all of this, and being able to just be like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I don't expect you to come back. And
his is much less of like he's running away for much different reasons. Like Faye's running away because she fucked up.
Yeah.
Ed is much more of a free spirit, just kind of like, I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, I guess that's true. She's kind of running away from her dad, though, it seems like. She's kind of like, he's like super overprotective kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like she's running away from him, but like he loves her, and they're both like super weird and super capable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's more like she just needs to escape the shadow of her dad, but it's like not because he's overbearing, but just because he's super capable. He's this big. It's one of the other few times you see Spike get his ass handed to him. And it's like this random dude who's super weird, like kind of looks like just a random like blue collar worker who just rocks his crap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what? Who is this guy? Like what? I'd be interested to know more of Ed's dad's story, like what made him that. But super capable dude who created this super hacker who's really odd.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and like obviously Spike's running from a violent past of his own misdeeds, and Faye running from her swindling people, treating people badly. Jet's almost like the light is like he's running from something that he didn't quite do as morally correct as he should have. It's almost like his morality got in the way from, he didn't want to take down these people that he cared about, but he knew he should have.
Yeah.
So instead of actually
kind of ran away.
Yeah, instead of doing the right thing and actually putting them away, he just ran away. And then you could almost say like he was trying to do the nicer thing, but really he was letting a criminal go. And so he had to come back and deal with that. Like, okay, I messed up. I should have taken care of this person.
Very true.
He's the closest thing for the team's moral compass, right?
Yeah.
He's the good guy. Like, generally speaking, the more of a good guy than anybody else.
Kind of one of those things like running away until you're forced to face your problem.
Right.
And
yeah, that's definitely the overall story.
Yeah, and becoming, in a way, I think, better for it after they face it.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
And I think you get echoes of that story. I mean, they serve as bounty hunters. They serve as justice coming for people.
Yeah.
And then eventually their own justice comes for them, right?
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Yeah, all right, so I mean, that's pretty much it. I was going to do a final thoughts on the anime, but really our final thoughts are probably our beginning thoughts on it, which was that it was amazingly done. And
it'd just be 5 more minutes of gushing.
Yeah, exactly. So what we'll just say is, if you haven't gone and seen it and you like anime, go check it out. There is no reason not to. You're going to enjoy the music. You're going to enjoy the visuals. And you're going to enjoy the characters. Yeah, go check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a top 5, top 10, easily anime of all time. Should be watched by anybody who considers themselves an anime fan.
Exactly.
Or just a fan of good storytelling.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, guys. I'm Cast, and with me is Adam, and we will be back on episode 3, which we will be covering. I think Gate will be the one that we're going to watch, and then we'll probably cover something like Outlaw Star. Don't hold me to that, but you probably will. If you guys haven't, please subscribe, ring that bell, and, put a comment down there. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next anime podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.